Hey, I'm Naya. Welcome back to the channel. So what we're going to be doing today is talking about the new Tri-Brigade version, the new Lyrilusc version of the Tri-Brigade deck, I should say. With the new Lyrilusc support dropping, I simply had to make a deck list that I can test because I'm super excited about the deck. I wanted to share it with you, and I should stress this out right now. I'm not someone that goes, oh, you should play my build because it's superior. You should play this and this and this and this. No, my builds are just a reference point for you because that's something I always felt like I wanted to have when I was starting out just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was starting out with a certain deck. It's something I would have liked to go on a channel and be like, okay, so this is like, not a precise version of the deck, but it's something I can look up and be like, oh, okay, so I can play this, maybe try this deck, test it like this, these are the ratios, these are the good cards. And yeah, this is the only reason why I'm making this, because this is the build that I will actually be testing. So, you can test it as well if you want. Alright, so this is what I was talking about. The build is not even complete, which obviously I will complete it, and I will also talk to you guys about what those two missing slots can be. But yeah, my videos usually look like this. If you have seen any of my other ones, if you have not, I highly suggest you do. But if you have not, what I like to do is here in the side deck slot, I put everything that's a good deck that could be run, and then obviously throughout the video I will sprinkle all of my reasoning behind certain cards and ratios. So starting off with the Lyrilusc, these are the new cards. So Canary, Celestine, obviously the Bird Call, and then the extra deck monsters. And this is what I feel like makes this build worth playing. Like, I'm not throwing any shade towards anyone playing Lyrilusc Tri-Brigade before this support dropped, but I feel like it's worth playing from this point on because Bird Call is so incredible, being able to search your cards that you run in your deck, because before that, it was just random tri-types that you had and just a mashup of everything, and I wasn't personally the biggest fan of it, but right now I'm excited about this version, like I said. So with Bird Call dropping, all of this becomes searchable, and this is the reasoning behind my ratios, because this one, for example, it's not one of the best ones. This one is for sure, that's why it's at 3. This one can be searched throughout your combo to just make good use of it, together with Nerval, for example. Go into Starling, and then with Starling, if you detach a Nerval, you effectively get a double search. So everything works out, basically. Canary also could be searched later on, because, for example, in like quite a basic combo, you will go Celestine effect to get Bird Call, and then with Bird Call get Canary. So it's like you don't need everything at 3 when you also want to fit in hand traps and the Tri-Brigade part of the deck. This is the reasoning behind all of the ratios. So these two are at 3 because they are the better ones. Nerval works incredible in tandem with Lyrilusc because they're all level 1s. And also Fractal, fun fact, can send any tri-type in a Tri-Brigade deck. You don't really pay much attention to it unless you want to send like a cat to get it out of the deck, I guess. But Fractal can send something like a Wagtail or something you would want to revive off of Canary, so that's always good. And then Kit and Karas. So Karas is run at 2 in the pure version. I see no reasoning to play more than 1 in this version. Excuse me. And then Kit. I feel like Kit should be run if you play Rendezvous in tandem with Barrier Statue, which I will talk about later, because you're then at that point you're playing like a protect the castle strategy, protecting your Barrier Statue, sending Rendezvous with Kit. But I feel like I should still put it in together with Revolt and everything, because I just like the amount of Tri-Brigades this puts in the graveyard for all of your Tri-Brigade plays, for your banishes to make your monsters, makes Revolt live easier, and yeah, it's just I feel like since you have quite a lot of flex spots, why not just play a Kit to have it be in the graveyard and just an extra card for Revolt and the effects. That's basically the reasoning behind it, since I did not put Barrier Statue in the main deck, and I feel like we're at a point now where we need to discuss this. Just to be very brief about it, I dislike when cards don't do anything on their own. That's just it. I don't like it when decks are centered towards, going into like a particular monster that you wanna focus all your plays on, and it's not even applicable against every single deck and every single meta, and I'm just not a fan of it. I will test it, however, but right now I did not put it in because I don't have high hopes for it, to be honest. So yeah, this is the reasoning why I didn't put in Rendezvous, why I don't have Simorgh in the extra, Barrier in the main. Overall, I prefer Revolt always, just because I would not want my board to lose to Dark Ruler, which at this point we should mention Oath, Q in Oath, because yes, it's a negate, but it's like, I mean, I don't know. To be perfectly honest, I will test it, but I don't like when cards are like that situational, Rendezvous, Oath, like everything feels way too bricky. Even if it's a 1, I would just much rather have my cards do a lot. I would want my extra deck to be a toolbox. And I realize Oath protects you from Dark Ruler's effect, from Droplet's effect. But at that point, I would just much rather play Revolt. And I realize also that Canary and Bloom conflict. But you don't always need to commit all of your plays. And this is, I guess, a tip, basically. Like, you don't always need to commit everything you have to make, like, an F-Zero Robin board with an additional disruption or something. Sometimes just an F-Zero and a Revolt will do the job. Sometimes only Revolt will do the job. So you can just look at some of your cards when you search them throughout your combo or hard draw them. Just look at them as follow-up, because if you don't let yourself have follow-up in your hand, Revolt, for example, in a deck like this, Revolt will not give you everything. In the pure version, Revolt is your follow-up, but right here, if you just make a Revolt and an F-Zero, keep your Lyrilusc in hand. If maybe you need to go into Zeus, break a board, nothing else to say about it. Just keep your cards in hand if you can afford to do so. Now, as for the other cards, I guess we could talk about the power one-offs as well. Tinky, Kolba, and Foolish are quite standard. Order also, 1 for 1 because you have level 1s. And then another one is Reborn, since it's kind of free, you can put it in, you have some slots. Just make a random Xyz easier if you have something in the grave. I probably would put Monster Reborn in, but at this point I didn't put in Crossout because I'm a fan of the card itself, but not in every single deck, and right now I just want to test without it. This is the reasoning. I did not play it in the pure version, and I liked that. And yeah, I would just much rather play this version right now without it. So these 2 slots I would fill out with some other hand traps. But if you would put in the Crossout, I guess you could cut like maybe an Imperm or like some of the other ratios, fit in other hand traps, maybe a Monster Reborn, and just have different hand traps for different scenarios in tandem with Crossout. But right now I would put here probably like, I don't know, 2 Nibiru or like 2 Ghostbow or something that I feel like will impact my own personal meta or the Dueling Book meta, since I'm gonna test it on Dueling Book first. So this is what could fill out those 2 slots. And then also Talents and Droplet. Droplet is an incredible card. It used to be not so good. When it dropped, it needed some time for people to really warm up to it, for the meta to be correct, for Droplet to be played in decks, and right now I feel like it's almost a staple 3-off if you can, afford to run it in your deck, meaning not only afford the Droplet, but like actually have a deck that works in tandem with it, because in a deck like this, you can afford to discard some cards for it. And also Talents, I don't like it at 3, never have, so I would just much rather run it at 2. And also, I'm a bigger fan of Talents than Crossout. So there's that. As for the extra decks, so the XYZs are quite standard. Robin is new. I really like it, but it's a card that you need to think about how you're gonna put enough materials under it, because you don't want your opponent to just beat over it, since it only gains 500 attack for a material. So you need to play around with Wagtail to attach it, and Sapphire Swallow to attach something else. You really need to, commit your plays to make it big enough to actually stick on board. Now, because of this, you could also run Linkuriboh as a way to protect it from the graveyard. And that's probably the only thing right now that I'm most iffy about, like if I want to run Linkuriboh or Almirage. So if you have any advice, I would greatly appreciate it if you wrote it in the comments, because right now I'm like, I would much rather play Almirage because of the popularity Phoenix Enforcer will probably have, so you can just protect your cards. But Linkuriboh is protection, and also you have level 1s, works great with Barrel Canaries. So yeah, this is the only one I'm still like this on, but we'll see. And then the other are quite basic, you know, assembled. We've seen this in Droidtron. These two, you need a 2 to make F-Zero. The fact that you can play F-Zero in here is incredible. Now they can Nibiru you at the point where you would, just before you would summon F-Zero, but at that point you force them. It's not like they're Nibiruing your entire board that you worked so hard towards establishing. So I guess it's also a fair trade-off. Double Dragon Lords, Apollousa, Omen, and Ferjit are standard. Bloom is for Revolt. Rugal I'm still a fan of. Also Links off Bloom if you want to go for Revolt. You have some flex spots, so why not just play it? And then another card obviously we need to fit in could be Doom-Ego or maybe Simorgh. Since on the end phase it summons a winged beast, you could summon something that would be follow-up, you know, for the next turn, but at that point you would probably put Barrier Statue in the main as well. So yeah, the 15th card is, it could be basically anything you would want. I put Axes in to just say that I don't think it's, that I don't think it's that needed, since your Lyrilusc can provide an OTK, but you can still in theory, you know, make your turn 1 board and then on turn 3 just not lock yourself into anything and easily OTK with Axes. So this is also still an option. This one feels to me a little bit like the Rumadol. It's very situational, pops a spell or trap, but then again you don't always need that, and some of the times you could play around some of the disruption your opponent might have anyway, even without this. Also, if you're going for Zeus play, you're gonna eventually wipe the board in any case, so I don't feel like this should be put in right now. Maybe test it, but it's not that necessary. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope I didn't ramble for too long. I hope I gave you some of the insight that you maybe needed, you know, for this support, for this version. Like I said, I'm gonna mention it again, I'm very excited about the deck. I ordered the cards, I cannot wait for them to arrive. Hopefully take this to regionals if I'm prepared. Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but yeah, I'm hyped up for it, to be honest. So I would love to read from you in the comment, like what you think of it, what you think of this kind of build with Revolt, anything you might think about it, just let me know. And yeah, if you learn anything, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like and a sub, check out Twitch, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.